Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My dear students, today we're going to talk about Unit 2, Lesson 4. In this lesson, we will talk about the past perfect symbol. But first, let's introduce the new vocabulary. The first word we have today is perturbed. Perturbed. Tom was so perturbed that he wasn't invited to his friend's upcoming party. So perturbed means worried. Why do you look perturbed, my dear son? By the time the lesson had started, I arrived school. The teacher shouted at me. The next word we have, meticulous. Meticulous. The project necessitates meticulous planning. The project necessitates meticulous planning. Meticulous means very careful and with great attention to every detail. The next word, so this example is about the word meticulous. They had prepared meticulous plans before they presented them. The next word we have is obliterate. Obliterate. The sudden earthquake could obliterate the city's buildings. To remove all signs of something, either by destroying it or by covering it so that it cannot be seen. The next sentence illustrated. By 2005, a terrible earthquake had obliterated most of the city's buildings and transport systems in Japan and killed hundreds of people. The earthquake caused a deep rift in the street. The word rift, a large crack in the ground or in rock. The next word is displace. The earthquake displaced thousands of people who became homeless. The word displace means to force a group of people to leave their homeland. Now, my dear students, open your student's book, pages 122-123. We'll talk here in this page about the past perfect symbol with after, before, by the time. We use the past perfect symbol to, number one, clarify which of the past actions happened first. For example, Irish people immigrated because so many had died of starvation. People died, and as a result, others immigrated. By 1854, a quarter of the population of Ireland had immigrated to America. They immigrated before 1845. We also use the past perfect symbol to, number two, talk about a situation, state, feeling, or action in the past. For example, Hussein felt nervous because he had never flown before. Hussein was nervous at some point in the past. The reason he was nervous was that he had not flown before this point in time. When I read the letter, I couldn't stop smiling. I passed all my exams. Now, my dear students, open your student's book, page 20. Exercise number 1. Choose the correct form of the verbs in the sentences below. It's time to check your answers. Sentence A. By the end of their holiday, Jabir and Yasser visited or had visited many interesting places. The correct answer here is yes, had visited. Sentence B. He suddenly noticed that his brother had eaten all the food in the house. The correct answer here is very good, had eaten. Sentence C. By 2 o'clock, had finished my English homework and had started on my maths. The answer here is had finished, had started. Sentence D. The expedition required meticulous planning before they left or had left. The correct answer is left. Now, let's move to exercise number 2. Work with a partner. Discuss the difference in meaning between these pairs of sentences. Let's now check your answers. A. Number 1. In 1854, a quarter of the population of Ireland immigrated to America. Number 2. By 1854, a quarter of the population of Ireland had immigrated to America. What's the difference between these two sentences? The first one, a quarter of the population of Ireland immigrated in 1854. Number 2, a quarter of the population of Ireland immigrated in the years leading up to 1854. B. Sentence number 1. Irish people immigrated because so many were dying of starvation. Number 2. Irish people immigrated because so many had died of starvation. The difference here. Number 1. Irish people immigrated whilst lots of them were dying from starvation. Number 2. Irish people immigrated after lots of them had died from starvation. Now exercise number 3. Complete this short text with the correct form of the past simple or past perfect form of the verbs in practice. Now let's check your answer. On April 18th, 1906, an enormous earthquake hit the Californian city of San Francisco. The answer here is on April 18th, 1906, an enormous earthquake hit the Californian city of San Francisco. Though it lasts only 60 seconds, it be the worst disaster in the history of the United States. The answer here is lasted and was. By the end of that minute, most of the city's buildings and transport systems be obliterated and thousands of families become refugees. The answer here is had been obliterated, had been obliterated, had become. Later studies show that the ground split open for more than 430 kilometers along the San Andreas Rift. The answer here is showed, had split. The land to the east of the rift moved 7 meters to the south. The answer here is had moved. That move killed 3,000 people, injured 225,000 others, and displaced many more. The answer here is killed, injured. Or the answer also can be had killed, had injured. Now, exercise number 4. Think of an explanation for these situations. Your explanation should include the words in brackets and the verb in the past perfect. Let's check your answer now. Hussein felt perturbed when he arrived at the airport. Never fly before. He'd never flown before. Hussein had never flown before. He felt perturbed because this was the first time to travel by plane. B. Bushra didn't feel very confident about taking her driving test. Feel twice. Bushra had failed her driving test twice. That's why she felt unconfident about her third driving test. C. Nabil didn't recognize his friend Jabir, not see 10 years. After all these years, he saw him accidentally, so he didn't recognize him. Nabil hadn't seen his friend for 10 years. D. Faisal found it difficult to get up this morning, worked late the night before. He found it difficult to get up in the morning after a tiring night. Faisal had worked late the night before. E. When Layla read the letter, she couldn't stop smiling. Pass exams. Layla had finished all her exams and she was worried about the result. She had passed all her exams. She read the letter and was happy with the results of the exams. F. Yasser couldn't contact his brother Abdulhamid. Switch phone off. The phone had switched off unexpectedly. Yasser had switched the phone off. Thus, he couldn't contact his brother Abdulhamid. Thank you, my dear students, for your listening. Meet you next time and goodbye.